Welcome to L&N Stadium, everyone. We're against Georgia Tech during the first quarter. Harry Douglas, Louisville football great, is going to see his number go up with all the other greats of this program. Harry was one of the most productive wide receivers in Cardinal history. So, Harry, the obvious question to start, just what does it feel like to sit on this field and know that your number is going to be up there with greats of this program?
Number one, it's a blessing, it's an honor to be able to be to this point. You know, it had to be a journey, and the journey is what you remember the most when you get to moments like this.
Yeah.
And, you know, growing up in Jonesboro, Georgia, and thanking my mom and dad for providing me with that balance, structure, that stability, that discipline. And I think all those principles that they taught me early on, I applied to when I was in high school, college, when I got to the NFL, in my everyday life now, while I'm working at ESPN. But you know, growing up, you dream of situations and things like this, and tomorrow, my dream becomes a reality. And I talk to my family and my kids all the time. My daughter's 8 and my son is 5. It's all about legacy, right? And what you're able to leave behind, and for your kids to be able to follow and try to do as well and do better than you.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what it's all about, and I'm extremely excited, though.
So the journey, take me back to the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Where, like, how do you even, a guy from Jonesboro, Georgia, I don't know how far that is from Louisville off the top of my head, but I'm going to assume you
6 hours and 20 minutes.
6 hours, well, all right, see, you got it down. But, like, how does Louisville even enter the picture for you? Like, how did they start recruiting you back then?
I would say, number one, they were the most consistent. And I'm big on honesty, I'm big on truth.
Okay.
And at the time, Tom Jurich was the athletic director. Everything that he told me came to reality, was true when I got here to the University of Louisville. And beforehand, when I came up here on my visit, loved the campus, had a lot of things that were new, a lot of things in the plans to build as well on my journey here. And it felt like a home away from home. That was big for me because I'm big on family.
Okay.
So I was going to go to a place that felt that way as well. I had already knew, you know, Deion Branch.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't here when I was here, but he's someone that I knew previously. Joshua Tench that played up here. AAU basketball circuit down in Georgia, so I knew him. So it just really felt like a home away from home. And I was telling this story earlier. I don't know if Louisville came to any of my football games.
What?
I think they came to majority of my basketball games. And Greg Nord at the time, I remember one game he came to basketball-wise. I remember I had dunked on someone, and he was like, "Oh man, you got to come to Louisville." Came up here on my visit, and I committed. And at the time, John L. Smith was the coach. Remember?
Yes.
John L. Smith was the coach, and he left. And Tom Jurich came to me. And he was like, "Just trust me. I'm gonna make this right."
Wow.
And I trusted him, and he brought in Bobby Petrino, and the rest is history, man.
So you're a brave soul to share with this basketball fan base that you were that good of a basketball player and didn't play basketball here. Like, you realize that you could have been a dual sport guy,
man. It's funny because my brother Tony Douglas played in the NBA for 9 years, and he's still playing overseas right now. But, you know, those were my intentions, to try to play both.
Okay.
But once I got here, my first training camp, oh man, you talk about an eye-opening experience.
Okay. Was that like a welcome
to man, I was seeing Tweety Bird. I went in that locker room, I was seeing Tweety Bird, and I told myself I got to hurry up and get home so I could just go to sleep and take a nap.
Well, did you just like take a hit or something like that?
No,
like,
no. It was a lot of running involved.
Okay.
A lot of running. We used to have about 40 plays in Skelly, 7-on-7. So that's what I determined. I was like, yeah, it's just going to be one of these sports. And I was also say this, you know, baseball is probably my best sport.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and pretty good baseball program here too.
So, exactly. So, you know, we had a receiver that played baseball as well, and he was like, "Man, come out and play baseball with me." And I was like, "Man, the off season, I want to go home."
Yeah, right.
I want to go home to my family when I have time.
It's just a nonstop grind.
And then I was, you know, driving down to Tallahassee to see my brother as well. So
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, that's my best friend.
When you get back on this field, or even just get into the city again, what are the first few memories from either your playing career or just the life you got to live here for a few years? What immediately comes back to mind?
I think number one, this place is a safe space for me.
Okay.
It allows me to decompress, compartmentalize, just relax my mind, relax my body, relax my soul. And that's what the city of Louisville does for me personally. But I would say the 3 best memories that I have at the University of Louisville. Number one, on this field, September 16th, which is my birthday, we played the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
And we beat them on that day. And I believe the next day was a Thursday night, November 2nd, we had a blackout.
Okay.
We were ranked 5th in the country. West Virginia, they were ranked 3rd.
Okay.
We beat them, and then the Orange Bowl. I will never, ever, the first BCS game in Louisville history, Was able to go down there and beat Wake Forest. So
Yeah.
those are the 3 best memories that I have. But this place allowed me to grow and become part of the man that I am today.
Yeah.
And I take pride in that.
So I'm someone who is a transplant too. I'm from Virginia originally, kind of worked in a couple different places, and this place kind of resonated as a home for me. And I always try to explain that there's some intrinsic value about the city that you don't really get until you get here and you're a part of the community. Do you have either a relationship that you developed back then that kind of helped you with that, or did you just kind of click with the city as soon as you kind of settled
I think
in
it was
here?
one of those things where I'm a people person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I've always been outgoing. I've always been, spontaneous and
Okay.
tried new things. And that was the way I was when I was here at the University of Louisville.
Yeah.
I never was shy about anything.
Mm-hmm.
If someone had an issue, I'm the type of person, I want you to directly contact me
That's
and
this
let's
place.
resolve this
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
And I always spoke my mind. I'm very opinionated, and, I'm unapologetic about that as well. So that's what makes me me. But I think my personality and my beliefs in the city of Louisville meshed together.
Yeah.
And it was a great thing. It still
Yeah.
is to this day.
And so you obviously went on to a successful pro career as well. Louisville football has, I think, been on an upward trajectory in
Yeah.
terms of the amount of NFL guys it's putting out. The brand of Louisville football now versus maybe how it's ever been seen before, how have you seen that grow as an alum, and how much pride do you take in that?
Well, I look at it on Sundays. I call a lot of NFL games.
Yeah.
I have to analyze a lot of play on Sundays as well. And when you're looking across the border, you're looking at these rosters, you see all these players from the University of Louisville.
Yeah.
It makes you smile. It makes you that much more proud to be an alum of this university.
Yeah.
And I think what a program is now, I think one of the best things that happened to this program was Josh Hurt, number 1, becoming the AD.
Okay.
And then number 2, him hiring Jeff Brom, someone that is from this area, played at the University of Louisville, previously coached here, right? So he can touch on any and every, not just big things, but little things when it comes to getting the right people here in Louisville.
Yep.
Plus, we know where his heart is. His heart is here. And when your heart is at the University of Louisville and you're faithful to the city that you grew up in,
Yeah.
it's going to be a marvelous thing as we've seen in year 1, and right now ranked 19th in the country.
All right, well, you got to put the analyst cap on me.
Oh, yeah.
On you for 1 second here. I think Louisville's got a big opportunity against Georgia Tech. It's really their first, I would say, real tough test of this season. They won the first 2 games convincingly against opponents that we all expected them to get the job done against. What has impressed you about this Louisville team, and where do you think they could be better
I'll
ahead of Georgia
say,
Tech?
number 1, the quarterback,
Shuck.
Tally Shuck, man. Coming in, operating the offense. I've been able to the last few weeks break some plays down that he's had. Someone that is willing to stand in the pocket, no matter if the defensive player's coming down the barrel of his body, but to stand in the pocket, make the throws, extremely intelligent, dissecting what's going on, what the defense is doing, and also trying to do.
Okay.
But delivering the football, and then, as Isaac Brown.
Oh, yeah. He's dynamic.
Young player, man.
Dynamic.
But whenever you can get a young one that comes in and can make a instant,
Yeah.
spot on your team,
Yeah.
you like those type of players.
I don't know who's responsible for giving him 25, but whoever did, they did the right thing.
Yes, they did.
Because I don't know if Jeff or the coaching staff meant to do this, but they immediately make that comparison to Jawar Jordan, that breakaway speed, that game-breaking ability, and then he's got that 25 on. You're like, wait a second, Jaws is in the league. He's not here right now, but he's made a phenomenal first impression. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball. I think that's the better unit, honestly, because of the star power they have with Ashton Gelati and Quincy Riley and a bunch of other pieces. When you look at that side of the ball, who's jumped out to you?
Well, I think number 1 is Ashton Gelati, because he's the guy that's probably going to be a first-round draft pick in 2025 NFL draft.
Heck of a player.
And the ability to be able to bend around the corner, also use power, have a series of pass rush moves, but be a game wrecker. So many times last season we seen him make plays on the defensive line to wreck games of the opponent, and Quincy Riley, a guy in the secondary. When you can have a guy that can take the football away from your opponent and give an extra possessions to your offense, you like those type of players as well.
Absolutely. And we always talk about Jeff's ability as an offensive guru. That's how he's made his name in the coaching business. I've been impressed with his adaptability in that, last year the running game was strong. That was their calling card. They weren't throwing the ball all around the yard. But as a guy who has played under great coaches, has seen, some of the best minds in the game, Jeff's scheming ability, what impresses you about his offensive system, and why do you think he's been able to have success?
I think what you just mentioned, the ability to adapt to the circumstances.
Okay.
Right? Because when you look at the traditional part of his offense, he wants to throw the football around. But number one, you also have to understand what your personnel is. We call it KYP. Know your personnel.
That's good. That's very good. That's,
Always know your
the name
personnel.
of the game, yeah.
And one of the things I think a lot of coaches in America struggle with is, this is my offense, this is the way it is.
Okay.
Instead of trying to tailor things towards the players that you have. And
Trying to put like a square peg in a round hole sometimes.
And I think
right?
Jeff has done a tremendous job of adapting to the players that he has and building the offense that way.
Okay.
And last year was a prime example of that, right? And you got to a point where the quarterback was turning the football over, and it may have hurt you versus Pittsburgh or that whole nine.
Yeah, I was there,
so,
yeah.
you know, you say to yourself, okay, we need to run the football a little bit more, and that's what they did the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And they ended up in the ACC championship game. But you got to have that adaptability throughout a season, because you don't know how things may go. Players may get injured, that whole nine. But Jeff has the ability to be able to do that and put these players in the right situations possible to be successful. That's your job as a coach.
Yep.
And he happens to be the play caller as well, offensively. But coach's job is to make sure that you put the player in the best position so they can be successful. Always exploit their strengths, never their weaknesses. And Jeff does a tremendous job of doing that.
All right, so I got to put you on the spot, because let's cover all bases here. Harry did play here, but his pro career was in Atlanta for a long period of time as well with Georgia Tech. So I'm going to ask you to make a pick, and I understand that you might frustrate either side here with whoever you're going to pick, but who you got?
Man, I'm going with the University of Louisville.
Yeah.
I really am. I just think this is going to be their biggest test to this year. Georgia Tech has played 2 games. Florida State over in
Physical
in
team
Ireland.
too, man. I like the way
we
they
did
play.
that one with College Game Day,
Yep,
so I was over
yep.
there for that. And they lost to Syracuse, and I think some of the things that Syracuse was able to do, Louisville can exploit as well.
Okay.
I think when you look at Georgia Tech offensively, what's going to be a challenge for Louisville's defense is that they use a lot of shifts, motion, mixed direction on that side of the ball. So being able to read your keys, read and react, be honest, stay home, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, and also the quarterback run. You have to limit that.
Yeah, and they had trouble with that against Jacksonville State, a little bit limiting that. But I want to finish, obviously, with the reason we're sitting here in the first place. Anything you want to say to the Cardinal fan base, to the city of Louisville, now that you get this, this moment that you've dreamed of since you, started playing football?
Well, number one, thank all of y'all for embracing a kid from the south side of Atlanta, Jonesboro, Georgia, Clayton County, all 5'8", 125 pounds of me at the time, and believing in me, always supporting me and my family. I thank y'all. I love y'all. I cherish y'all. Y'all will always be number one in my heart. Go Cards.
There you go. He's Harry Douglas, Louisville great. He will get honored during the first quarter of Louisville's game against Georgia Tech, joining all the other Cardinal greats up here at L&N Stadium. But for now, I'm Tyler Griever with Harry Douglas for WDRB Sports.